What I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a animated GIF of a sort of bug or something, or a ladybird or something like that, which is floating about on the page here. It's going to wriggle its way about. To do this, we need to do two things. First of all, we're going to create an animated GIF in Fireworks, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the layers function in Dreamweaver to animate the movement of a layer in the page. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flick over to Fireworks, and I'm going to create a new animated GIF. So File, New, I'm going to set the width to 100 and the height to 100. And this is my image here, 100%. The next thing I want to do is I want to use one of the vector tools here. I'm going to use the vector path tool, because what I want to do is I want to create the shape of, say, a fly or something like that, but I want to edit it in a different layer later so I can animate movement. So I'm going to adjust here the size. A common mistake is to use the bitmap tools for creating the following. Bitmap tools are harder to edit later. You have to go in and edit them individually, whereas the vector tools will allow you to pull the points later on. It's much easier for editing. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw roughly, if you can imagine this as being a body of something. Okay, and you can see all the points there now on the vector line. I'm going to give it some tentacles like so. Okay, not the most creative in the world, but hopefully enough for you to get the idea. And here you will imagine these as wings. Okay, now I'm going to press Control and plus, which will let me zoom in. And the next thing I can do is I can select this, and using my tools here, my colors, I can fill this with a certain color. So I'm going to give this a sort of a red fill. Okay, and his head can be filled with the same red. Okay, and I'm going to give the wings a sort of a, let's see, a sort of a lighter shade. Okay. Now, another thing is the body is, you can see here how the wings are overlapping the black here. So if I select the body and right click, I can go symbol, actually no, it's actually arrange, sorry, and bring to front, which will now bring it up to the top of my paths here that are being created in the layer. I could have done this manually here, so if I bring this path below the wing, you'll see how the wing is now intersecting over, or I could just grab it and bring it up like so. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out again, and this is all happening, this is everything now. I'm just going to select everything and just move it down with the arrow key slightly so it's centered pretty much in the center of the image. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my frames in history. The first thing here is the time of the animated GIF. At the moment this is set to 1/7 of a second. The other thing it's going to do is it's going to bring this toolbar back in here. I can double click on this number here and change this. If I set this to 100, this would be 1 second, and if I set it to 50, this is half a second, so I'm going to set it to maybe 25, so it's a quarter of a second. So each frame is going to be a quarter of a second. So now, I simply grab the frame, bring it down here. If I drop it here, it'll bin it. If I drop it here, it'll copy it. So now this is frame 2, and what I can do here is I can zoom back in, and I can edit frame 2. So in frame 2 I'm going to edit it slightly. I want to give an upward motion look to the wings, as if they are flapping. So I'm going to come in here to the subselection tool, and I'm going to move the points up individually, just a fraction. Okay, so the base area of all the points stays the same, and I could have removed some of these points originally to make it less complicated. So there, that's frame 1, frame 2, frame 1, frame 2. And I want to do the same thing here for these points. I'm just going to move all these up subsequently. You could also draw a box like so and move them all up in one go like so, and then grab the last one. So now frame 1, frame 2. So if I click play, it has this sort of flapping effect, if that's what you want to call it. And if I zoom out to 100%, like so, we can see how it looks from a distance. So for the animation, I think I might also just change the tentacle movement as well, just slightly. So if I zoom back in, what I can do here is I can move just these points over here like so. I can move these points just over here like so. And now if I zoom back out, we get this effect. Okay, so if I go to my optimize panel, make sure here it's set to animated GIF. If I check it on my preview, I'm leaving the background as transparent. I could knock the colors down to about 16, even more, about, that's a bit too little, 16 looks about right. So if I click play, yeah, it's looking alright. I'm happy with that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save as. I'm going to save this into my C drive and into my website, and in my originals folder I'm going to call this bug. And now what I want to do is I want to export this file as an animated GIF. So I export and I put this into my C drive, into my website, into my images folder. I'm going to call this bug.gif and I click save, and that's it. So we've created the animated GIF.